Welcome to Clock Management, everybody. It is the 29th of April, 2020. I'm your host, Justin, and as always, I'm joined by Perry.
Hey, what's up, Justin? Just curious, are you related to Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I don't believe so.
That's interesting because Jean-Claude Van Damme, you look good.
And in fact, I'm positive I did one of those DNA things.
And it did, but it didn't say, sorry, no Jean-Claude Van Damme?
It didn't specifically say that, so...
It didn't specifically say anybody.
No, well, no, it does. They give you like a list of other people who have taken the test yeah. But I don't know if he's taken the test, so I guess I don't know.
I think you might be.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I appreciate it.
What are we doing today?
Just this.
Yeah, okay. Just some banter.
Yeah, just a little, just want to chat with you a little bit, just see what's up. But I figured as long as I got you here, we could talk about rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft. A little special episode for everyone out there.
Yeah, you catfish me. I'm in. We could talk about the draft. We got a few guys to talk about. We already covered round 1 earlier in the week, and we'll be covering rounds 2 and 3 right now. Not quite as in depth. We'll be covering a lot of running backs, definitely. So
yeah, and like we definitely won't be covering more than rounds 2 and 3, just because after that the fantasy impact is really minute, I would say. And yeah. I mean, there's gonna be a guy somewhere back there who breaks out, but it's not worth covering every player from 4 to 7 to try and figure out who that one guy is. So,
right on. Before we do all that, Justin, where can everybody find us?
That's true. I forgot to bring this up on the last episode, so make sure you guys subscribe to us on YouTube, because actually after this episode, the very next episode, we are giving away a Kareem Hunt autographed jersey. So go ahead and get that jersey. All you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment on YouTube. But if you don't want to look at us, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And we have all social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere you do social media. We are there for you.
My.
Yeah, I've been working on that all week.
That was quite the presentation. I felt like you were in the bathroom and we were your bathroom mirror.
Yeah, I've been getting ready all week for that. I didn't quite have it perfected on the last episode, so I just scratched it completely.
Just dropped it.
No, can't do it.
No, it doesn't matter. It's not important.
It's not ready. It's not ready. Not ready for the public.
Right. Okay. Well, we do have some news to cover. Last episode, we didn't really cover news because the news was the draft. It was the first round. But we've got some signings. It's kind of like just what I was talking about for the last month and a half, basically, is we're not going to get a whole lot of information until post-draft. That's when, the rocks start to settle and the guys left out start to settle in with their team. So we've had a few trades and a few signings. First signing talk about is Marquise Goodwin was traded to the Eagles. Clearly, to me, this is just the Eagles trying to really bolster up that wide receiver roster. Last season, it was definitely anemic.
Yeah, and they've been trying to get a speedy wide receiver in there. They tried to bring back Djax last year. That was not successful for them. So I think that's kind of that same thing.
Right. Yeah, the top 2 wide receivers for the Eagles, while there was a lot of fantasy hype going into the season for them, even by me, with Alshon Jeffrey, they both were just injured the entire season, basically. So, yeah, they're definitely trying to bring some guys in to help out Carson Wentz. We'll see if it works. I don't know. Carson Wentz can play football. We know that. It's just
including a quarterback they brought in to help him.
They did bring in a quarterback, which we can talk about that now if you want. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, we won't be talking about it as fantasy relevance because Carson Wentz is still their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that remains to be the case.
The thing with them is Carson Wentz has yet to finish a season. So the backup quarterback has proven to be a very crucial role.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I would take Carson Wentz in the right spot, right? I would have him on my team. I wouldn't be completely opposed to it, but
Yep.
I also would be just as prepared for him not to be available, like the Eagles are preparing right now. So
In Dynasty, he may not be a bad choice with how much Carson Wentz gets hurt, because it's like, how long of a career can you have at this rate?
right.
I
I
mean,
think he's a good quarterback.
no,
He
he
has
is.
to
He
stay
is.
healthy.
He's a good quarterback when he's healthy. That's just the problem is he seems like every year it just seems it's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. Fantasy relevance for the wide receivers. I'm not sure who I want on this team. Probably right now, top of my list might be a good one, or it might be the rookie that they just drafted in the first round.
Oh,
Whose
we
name
talked
I'm blanking
about
on right
yeah,
now.
we just
Yeah.
talked about him last episode
Sorry,
too.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Otherwise, I think we just need to wait for OTAs if they happen, training camp if that happens, and we'll get a whole lot more information about who's getting the majority of the snaps there in the receiving core. Matt Breida.
It's Rieger,
This is
right?
actually, what's that?
It was Rieger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Matt Breida. This is actually good news. I think for Matt Breida and for the team he left. Matt Breida traded from the 49ers to the Dolphins. Matt Breida, talented player, just dealt with injuries like we were talking about before. Definitely a fantasy relevant player when he's healthy. The issue is he wasn't very healthy, and the 49ers have
12
good running backs. So I think this clears up the backfield a little bit in San Francisco. Still kind
murky.
of hairy
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So on a deeper bench, I would maybe roster one of those running backs and hope that I got the one that didn't get injured. But yeah, it's still kind of hairy there, but it does open it up a little bit. Matt Breida going to the Dolphins, as long as he stays healthy, I actually think that he'll be totally fantasy relevant as maybe a third, like a flex spot.
This
running
definitely
back.
hurts Jordan Howard there.
It does hurt Jordan Howard. I still like Jordan Howard more than Matt Breida.
Yeah.
But we've seen Matt Breida completely explode. He's insanely athletic.
And that's Matt Breida's MO, come in as the underdog and take the job.
It is. So we'll see how that plays out. Jordan Howard seems to teams never really want to make him the premier guy. He just kind of does that himself. So it'll be interesting. These two guys kind of will have to battle out there, or I bet you it's probably just gonna be a two-headed monster. But all right. Some interesting news coming out of Baltimore. It is reported that Mark Ingram will be part of a four-headed monster, a huge stable of running backs that they have there. We kind of thought he would be a part of a three-headed monster going into 2019. Turned out to not necessarily be the case. He didn't get a ton of carries, but he was extremely efficient with his carries, and he found the end zone a lot. So you were pretty high on Mark Ingram. Does this scare you a little bit?
So I was actually higher, like Mark Ingram. I was actually a little bit lower than most people, but I was pretty high on Justice Hill. And yes, the draft did that for me, though. It killed that value for Justice Hill to me. But I mean,
so
I still wish good things for him. It's a scary backfield at this point. I'm probably avoiding.
I agree. Right now, I'm avoiding it, but I also would like some more time to figure out how this is going to shake out a little bit because their running game is so good with Lamar Jackson that whichever running back is the premier guy or the main guy or the majority of the carries or the goal line for that matter is going to be good. It's just figuring that one out. Whereas with San Francisco, their run game is good, but I don't know. I feel more scared of San Francisco than I do of Baltimore, but it's still early. I want to see how it plays out in the OTAs.
I mean, both of them are going to have four running backs basically.
Mm-hmm.
So even with Breida leaving,
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting there. I think San Francisco, you're going to end up seeing one guy. Sorry. You're going to end up seeing one guy take over the role, though. Baltimore may actually do just rotate backs.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how much Dobbins, who's the rookie that they drafted, how much work he actually gets. We'll see, right? He could walk out day one and fumble and then not see the field again for another 4 weeks. So, yeah. I'm not saying like there's no way you can touch Mark Ingram. It's just something to definitely think about. And, if it comes down to him or another running back around his tier, probably take the other guy because you don't have to worry about 3 other running backs trying to take his job.
Mark Ingram is, I believe, 31 right now, turning 32 this season.
So he's pretty much hitting that spot where the long-term running backs are starting to die off.
Yeah.
He's definitely a long-time running back, long-time successful. But if we had to predict when he would start to go downhill, it would be now. So, Jameis Winston, this is crazy. This is actually crazy to me. Jameis Winston, there was talk of Jameis getting a deal 3 months ago with Tampa Bay before Tom Brady signed there. Like, it could have been a max deal for a guy that threw 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns. He signs a $1.1 million 1-year deal with the Saints with $3.4 million in possible incentives. Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Jameis, he's good, except turning the ball over. Everything else is very, very good.
Yeah, no, are
you there?
Yeah, sorry.
Sleeping.
I was replying to a message I had received from work.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. He's a talented wide receiver quarterback, but I think he's kind of doing what we just saw from Teddy Bridgewater, coming in to replace Breeze when Breeze retires. Bridgewater ended up getting that worked out great for him.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he's trying to do, just stay there until after he retires and step into a starting role again.
Yeah, maybe. It could also be that Drew Brees is done after this year.
Yeah.
And they're hoping, hey, we might land Jameis and might be able to help him throw 12 interceptions instead of 30. Because he would have been very, very good last year had he only thrown 12 interceptions. So, staying with the same team in the same position, Taysom Hill agrees to a a 5-year deal with the Saints?
Yeah, I believe so. Which he also got paid quite a bit for that. That was kind of interesting for me because it's like they basically have. Well, I mean, they have 3 quarterbacks in, I guess, in quotes.
Yeah.
With Taysom.
So the interesting thing about Taysom is it sounds like he's going to be designated as a tight end / flex in fantasy going forward.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah. On ESPN, you'll be allowed to use him as a tight end or flex spot.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. He racked up 19 catches for 236 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also rushing for 156 yards. He would have finished as a tight end 22. So not quite like fantasy relevant, but he's knocking on the door, especially if they start to use him more that way, which I think they will.
Yeah, and I haven't looked it up, but I'm sure the point differential from the tight end 22 to the tight end, let's say 12, probably isn't a huge number.
Yeah, probably not gigantic. Yeah. So could be seeing some interesting plays out of the backfield there in the Saints. Drew Brees didn't really show a whole lot of slowing down, right? He had the injury, but they might bring Jameis in every once in a while. They might. I mean, there's no reason why they aren't willing to do so. They've been doing it with Taysom Hill for his whole career, and they're going to continue doing that. Maybe this is a way that they give Drew Brees a little bit of, time off every now and then. So
yeah.
But do not go draft Jameis.
No, don't do that. Please don't.
Unless you're in like a 2-quarterback league and you want to stash him as like your 3rd or 4th quarterback.
Yeah, or you're in a dynasty, then I'm okay with that.
And then last report here coming out of Green Bay, was that Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Packers, he's going into his second year, has had enough of Aaron Rodgers' act. That is the exact quote. He's had enough of his act. That's kind of interesting. It wasn't the Matt LaFleur that said this. It was Bob McGinn of The Athletic who reported it. So who knows exactly what the quote was, but this is a quote that was given. I don't know, man. What Aaron Rodgers, I've heard this quite a bit, is like Aaron Rodgers has a lot of issue with authority or something, right? Or coaches don't like coaching him. But I don't see it on the field.
I know that's the crazy part, because he's not like one of those players that's like throwing stuff on the field and like causing a scene, yelling at the coach,
Yeah. So I don't know. Like maybe this is pure speculation, but maybe Aaron Rodgers being called the greatest quarterback playing right now for a really long time, or the most talented, actually went to his head, and he's a huge jerk in the locker room. But
he's just trolling the coach as the coach is up there like breaking down film and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it would be news to me. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing is you don't really hear it from the other players.
Right. Yeah, you don't.
It's just the coach. The coach is.
I would be blown away, absolutely blown away, if Aaron Rodgers got sat at any point this season for Jordan Love.
Or traded.
Yeah. And if he gets traded, that team is infinitely better. There are very few teams
the team
in the NFL.
He goes to. Yeah.
There are very few teams in the NFL where if they got Aaron Rodgers, they wouldn't be immensely better.
Yeah, an instant playoff team.
Yeah, it's like Pat Mahomes and probably Lamar Jackson. I think I would have Aaron Rodgers as an NFL franchise
over pretty much everyone else.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, that's all the news I had to talk about. You got some news that we don't really care about?
I do. So for news no one cares about, I mean, I'm going to keep with this, greatest quarterback talk you were talking about. Tom Brady did not break any rules, it's reported, when he went and got the playbook last month, sorry.
Yeah.
But he did go into the house without knocking, which is just kind of weird.
Every time I hear something about Tom Brady breaking rules, or even the Patriots for that matter. I know Tom Brady's not a Patriot anymore, but there's this like weird thing in my head where it's like, okay, is this a witch hunt because people hate the Patriots and Tom Brady and they just really want him to get in trouble? Or is Tom Brady just always up to something?
Yeah, I'm right on board with you. It's the same thing for me. It's like every time something happens, I'm like, man, people just hate him, but also they cheat. So
yeah. Like, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it.
Speaking of you not wanting to talk about it, this next guy, Tim Tebow.
Who?
Tim Tebow was raving about Tua's potential in Miami.
Ooh, I'm down on Tua.
Yeah, you just won me over right now.
Tua, it's about time to go try baseball, buddy.
Maybe you should be a tight end.
After that, you're going to go and you're just going to cast for college football.
Yeah, and I mean, right back to what you were talking about, though. Brett Favre said he doesn't see Aaron Rodgers retiring as a Packer. I
mean, how could he?
Yeah, I feel like Brett Favre, though, this was more kind of like he was, he never got over how they replaced him with Rodgers.
That was his fault too.
Yeah, he was super upset about it, and so I think this kind of like, see, Aaron, same thing's happening to you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I saw it when I read it. Just like Favre's like, look, it wasn't me, it's the organization, and now you see it.
I'm sorry, but nobody.
That was different.
Nobody but Brett Favre came out of that situation looking bad.
Yeah.
The Brett Favre's like, I'm retiring. I'm not. I'm retiring. And the Packers are like, stay retired. And he's like, no, I want to come back now. It's like, no, we're good.
Yeah, we've moved on.
We've been down that road. And he was still good, right? Brett Favre was still good after that, but
yeah.
So was Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Even better.
What next?
Last thing,
Can't
Roger
wait.
Goodell not taking a salary during the pandemic to try and help the NFL save money.
Oh boy.
I mean, we love to hate on Goodell, like we really, really love to hate on him.
I
It's a
love
lot
it.
of fun,
I love it.
but I actually respect this. I'm like, good for him. Now, honestly, when I first read this, I was like, man, I hope I click on this and see he decided to donate his salary to something that helps people. And it wasn't that. He just gave it up to help the NFL. So the NFL just keeps that money.
I'm sorry. Anytime he does something right, which is very rarely, it's like
So
having a
this time,
cat that poops on the floor all the time. And then he uses the litter box like once a month or something, and you just celebrate. You're like, oh, you're such a good cat. He's the best cat. He does everything right. Don't worry about it. And then he poops on the floor again the next day.
yeah, I can't wait for him to poop on the floor again.
It's going to happen. Some player is going to beat the ever living quack out of his girlfriend, and Roger
And
Goodell
or child.
or child, and Roger Goodell is going to be like, you can't play for 3 weeks.
3-hour suspension.
Yeah, you still get you still get your money. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you just can't play.
You can't hang out with the team this next week, first weekday, Monday.
Yeah.
You can't hang out with the team. After that, you're good though.
Yeah. And let this be a lesson to you.
Hope you learned
Young
your
man.
lesson there.
Okay. Enough of that.
Yeah, that's enough of that. Let's get into some draft talk, Perry.
Let's get into it.
All
You
right.
got a list, right?
Yeah, I got the list here. So the first guy, I'm going to go in order of where they were drafted. So the first guy was the very first pick of the second round. And I really like this guy. I was actually hoping the 49ers picked him in the first round with their second pick. But that's wide receiver T. Higgins.
Yeah.
He ended up going to the Bengals. Another like good wide receiver there. Solid guy. This wide receiver class was deep.
It was a really good wide receiver class.
Yeah, AJ Green's there. He's turning 32 this year, and I think he's had a couple health issues.
Yeah, our hearts go out to his ankle.
Yeah. He hasn't stayed healthy for a season in like I think 10 seasons now, somewhere around there. But
you know what's funny is T. Higgins reminds me a lot of AJ Green. Like T. Higgins is a really good 50-50 ball guy. AJ Green's a really, really good 50-50 ball guy.
yeah,
It might be this could be really good to work under AJ Green for a little while and get
and Tyler Boyd.
And Tyler Boyd. Yeah, Tyler Boyd's good too, but
Yeah.
I mean Tyler Boyd was never AJ Green, and I don't think he'll ever be AJ Green.
No, they're different
But-
types of players, but they're going to be mutually beneficial to each other.
Yeah.
And this will be good for the inevitable of AJ Green going down with an ankle injury and him
In the
coming
preseason.
in, yeah, to fill that spot.
And then I'll spend an entire offseason and half a regular season reminding all of you that AJ Green will not be playing again.
And I'm gonna pick him up and drop him every other week and be upset with myself.
T. Higgins, in all honesty, I really do believe that he will be fantasy relevant at some point this season. Whether that takes Joe Burrow getting comfortable, T. Higgins getting comfortable, or AJ Green going down, or one of the other receivers going down, I'm not really sure which that'll be. Probably a combination of all three. But I think he will be fantasy relevant at some point this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially that offense is going to be much improved from last year. So there's going to be points to be had. And I mean, Tyler Boyd did great last year under anemic offense. So I definitely think there's going to be room for two wide receivers to eat this year with an improved offense.
Yeah, for sure. It should be interesting. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Bengals. I think that they are going to be better, significantly better than last year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't expect like the Bengals or Browns to be the worst team in the NFL this year. So that'll be like a weird change.
It will be a weird change. Who's the next guy on the list?
Next guy is the very next pick. DeAndre Swift, running back out of Alabama.
Michael Pittman.
Oh, sorry. I thought I
You
scrolled
just got
right past
excited
him.
because we drafted Deandre Swift in our
Yeah,
dynasty.
we actually just did. Yeah, Michael, which is I was right with the very next pick.
You are right.
Michael Pittman. He's out of USC. 6'4", 223 pounds. So he's a big wide receiver. And he went to the Indianapolis Colts. I messed myself all up with this.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so
This has been embarrassing.
I know it. What also messed me up is I was reading my notes and I saw Phillip Rivers, so I really wanted to say he went to the Chargers, just because I'm like, oh, Phillip Rivers, Oh no, that is not what happened.
Yeah, that's no longer a thing.
Yeah, so he's a bigger body wide receiver. I'm excited for this because you got T.Y. Hilton there and Zach Pascal. This definitely hurts Pascal's value in fantasy. But I think this is going to be great for the Colts as a whole. He's a good wide receiver that T.Y. is going to draw that double coverage. He should be able to get open underneath easier.
Yeah. We'll be talking about another guy that went to the Colts here shortly.
Yeah.
But I really think the Colts had a really good late or
second
middle draft.
Yeah, second
round in general. Second and third round. I think Michael Pittman is going to be fantasy relevant probably pretty early this season. I think that they might put him in at special teams a little bit. He was a pretty good special teams player at college in USC, but he's also a very physical, gifted wide receiver. He'll be very good, and Phillip Rivers throwing him the ball is definitely not a bad thing, even if it is only for a season or two.
Like, I've already done a few dynasty drafts because I'm insane, but I've seen him falling. Like, he seems to kind of be that forgotten wide receiver.
He does
there.
yeah.
So he's a guy you might be able to get a little bit later in some dynasty drafts. I recommend in dynasty maybe towards the later rounds of a normal draft. Like, this isn't a guy you're going to reach up for in the top probably half of your draft.
Yeah. I do think while the first round wide receivers I'm probably more excited about fantasy wise, I do think that this kid has the physicality that he'll need to transfer to the NFL to deal with the more physical, larger, meaner, in fact, cornerbacks. The guys that kind of push those young, smaller kids around. I don't think they're going to really be able to do it with Michael Pittman. So he could transition pretty well.
And so I think T. Higgins is the more talented wide receiver between the two of these guys, but I like his landing spot more. So I think he'll have more fantasy relevance than T. Higgins. I'd rather have Pittman than Higgins. And that's a big thing, like why people are like, oh, before the draft when they're asking me who I like, I'm like, I'm waiting to see what team they go to, because I'm not going to tell you I like this guy more and then he goes somewhere where he's not relevant.
Yeah.
Like a Jordan Love. So
let's move on.
Yeah, next player is the very next pick. I promise we're not going through every pick in this draft one by one. I don't want to keep you guys here all day or night, depending on when you're watching this. But it's Deandre Swift, which I started to mention. He's out of Georgia, 212-pound running back, and he went to the Detroit Lions.
I'm just going to stop right now and say he is now probably my favorite rookie running back.
He is
fantasy.
He's my Kerryon Johnson from 2 years ago.
This kid's good. We talked about him in our rookie or pre-draft running back episode, and this kid is good. I'm really excited about Deandre Swift.
Yeah, he was my second favorite running back pre-draft, like just pure talent-wise and NFL ready. Yeah. And I still think that he's my second favorite here as well.
Yeah, he can run between the tackles really well. He gets to the outside easily.
He can catch.
And he's got the elite pass catching skills. The comps that I'm reading right now and that I've heard are Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. Both incredible running backs, fantasy relevant.
Not a bad person people be compared to, you know?
Yeah, Matthew Stafford injured all last season, so I think he goes a little forgotten. But he is a very good quarterback, NFL quarterback, and he produces for fantasy. He was on par to be a top 5 quarterback going into last season before he's injured. This is not a one-man show with DeAndre Swift. They have weapons, they have talent on that team. He's just going to fit in really well.
No,
especially because Kerryon Johnson can't stay healthy.
Yeah, for sure. It's so sad. I love that guy.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit upset with you talking down about my guy Blow over there. Blow. the backup quarterback for
No, I know. I'm just waiting for the punchline.
No, that was the punchline. It was a
okay.
joke.
I thought so. All right. Let's
So the next one is the running back I like the most actually in this draft with his landing spot. Liked him the most prior to the draft, and that's Jonathan Taylor. He's coming out of Wisconsin, running back. He landed on the Colts. I think he's going to take over that backfield from Marlon Mack. And he's like, this dude is an animal between the tackles, especially. He just runs people over. He's quick. He can cut. I love this dude. And
I really like Jonathan Taylor as well. He was my favorite going into the draft. I just like where Swift landed more. I agree with you that Jonathan Taylor is going to take Marlon Mack's job, but I think that's probably not going to happen until at least the halfway mark, maybe 3/4 of the way through the season, unless Mack gets injured or something like that, right? Of course, then Jonathan Taylor would jump up my board. But I think they're still pretty committed to Marlon Mack. At least they want him involved. So Jonathan Taylor will get work, but I think Swift will get more of it.
Yeah, I think, like, so for me, like, Phillip Rivers loves throwing the ball to his running backs too. And Taylor definitely is great is a good pass catcher. He's not as good as Swift, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think he'll get work there as well. And I think that Kerryon's going to continue to steal carries all season. Like, I think they're going to rotate them to try and keep Kerryon healthy is my problem with Swift. I think Jonathan Taylor could take that 3 down thing eventually.
While that line of thinking normally makes sense when you're talking about Kerryon Johnson, that team, even when Kerryon's been healthy, has shown that they're not willing to commit to him as the guy. I feel like they don't like him for some reason. No, yeah. I know. I feel like they don't like him for some reason, though. And I feel like any excuse to not give him the ball and give him the opportunity, they've jumped at it.
Yeah, my fear is that their coach just doesn't like to win.
Matt Patricia, please.
Yeah, so maybe he will give Kerryon the job now that Swift is there because he just doesn't want to win.
I think bottom line, I would be happy to own either of these guys. Probably not as my number 1 running back.
No.
And honestly, you could probably get these guys as like your 3rd running back in a lot of leagues pretty easily. And I think if you had either one of them as your 3rd running back, yeah, you're going to be real happy. Okay, let's move on.
Next, I think this is actually our only first and only tight end here. And that's Cole. I'm going to make a stab at this name, Perry. Kemet. It's Kemet, Kmet.
I think Kemet.
Yeah, I'm horrible with names. I butcher them all the time, so it's probably great that I'm the one reading off all these guys' names.
Yeah.
It'll at least be it's for entertainment value, guys. He's a 262-pound tight end out of Notre Dame. He got drafted to the Chicago Bears, who have a need at the position, as well as many other offensive positions like quarterback. This makes it hard for me with any sort of fantasy relevance, just because I don't know who's throwing him the ball week 1. I probably won't be targeting this guy, even though he was my number 1 tight end in this draft. So I think he's extremely talented. I just don't know what's going to happen with him. So I'm not taking that risk at a position like tight end.
So I will also not be taking that risk, but for a different reason. I agree that who knows who's throwing him the ball and whether or not that person's Mitchell Trubisky. And I don't think it really matters. I think that he probably will not suffer because the quarterback's bad, right? He won't be bad because the quarterback's bad. I think he'll be bad because it's hard to play tight end in the NFL as a rookie.
That's true.
I'm not saying it's not impossible, right?
Yeah.
We've seen it. And if there is a guy in this draft that could do it, it's probably Cole. I'm just not willing to bet on a rookie tight end. So
yeah, so you guys know out there, most tight ends, like they look at breakout years by position.
Third.
Yeah,
Like
so you
year.
can look at like how long it takes each position. Tight ends the longest breakout period from when they come in the NFL, and it's usually year 3 or further. So it's always rough taking a shot on a tight end in any sort of league. That includes dynasty. Like I would rather try and trade for this guy after year 1 when he just had a horrible year and I could get him for a lot cheaper than where he was drafted.
Yeah. And I also want to point out that this season is probably one of the deepest seasons we've seen for a tight end in a long, long time. You don't really need to take risks on rookie tight ends this season. You just don't. So, dynasty definitely should be owned. Definitely should be owned in dynasty.
Yeah, but like I was saying, like I would rather just not draft him and then try and trade for him after maybe even halfway through the season or later, where you could get him for even cheaper than where he was drafted.
But I mean, if you're in a dynasty league like we're in, Justin, where it's 16 teams and your bench is gigantic, there's plenty of room in my bench for somebody like this. Yeah. There is. So that's kind of league dependent. If you're in a 10-team league, Justin's probably right.
And how your team is too, how your team's built. Like, everyone's team is different. If you're already like sitting pretty good at tight end, I'm probably not taking a chance on it.
Sure. Okay.
The next guy. So this guy, it's a wide receiver, Chase Claypool. He 238 out of Notre Dame, 238 pounds out of Notre Dame. He went to the Steelers. So I don't expect this guy to have a huge fantasy impact, but I do expect him to hurt all those number 2 wide receivers for the Steelers. It's kind of like we were talking about with like San Francisco's running back core, where they have too many mouths to feed for there to be one guy to like step forward. And I think that's kind of what we're going to see with the second wide receiver for the Steelers.
That I think you're right, but I do think by the end of the season we're gonna have one that we can count on. I just don't know which one that's gonna be.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 3 options for it right now. 4. There's 4 options for it right now, and I just don't know who that's gonna be. I think by the end of the season we'll know, and we'll be happy about who that is, and we'll be playing them for sure. But it could be Chase Claypool. It also might not be Chase Claypool. He might just be a special teams guy all rookie season. So it'll be
probably not a guy I'm taking a shot on.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for me to say definitively who we should be taking in Pittsburgh's wide receiver core other than Juju. So it's tough. You're right. But I think the difference between the 49ers backfield and the receivers of the Steelers is we'll have an answer by the end of the season. I don't know if we'll have one for the Niners.
Yeah, after the 49ers, because all of those guys are going to get injured, but one of them. That's what they do.
Maybe.
The next guy is running back out of Florida State. That's Cam Akers. He went to the LA Rams. Great running back. Pretty good landing spot. I feel bad though, because like we were both talking on our sleepers episode about Darrell Henderson, and there goes that.
That's the way she goes, bud.
Yeah,
it's the way she goes. It's the way of the road. If you guys got that reference, you should leave a comment. We'll have to come up with some surprise if you got that reference.
Yeah, but so Cam Akers though, he's a completely like viable running back there. He had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons in college, which is great. And I just expect this guy's like, he's super quick, explosive player, and he's gonna be a fantasy viable guy.
Yeah, I think
depending on the week.
In PPR, I would be really okay with him probably in a flex spot. The guy can catch the ball really, really well. He's a pass catcher, third down running back. He'll probably be doing a lot of that and then working into more of a ball carrier role. But on a team that should have an explosive offense, the running back that's catching the ball at the backfield is usually pretty good fantasy wise. So,
and on this team in particular,
right,
it's proven to be
right.
All the way back to Danny Woodhead.
Yeah. Oh no, this is the Rams.
Oh, the Rams. Sorry, wrong LA team.
Todd Gurley definitely had a lot of success catching the ball in the backfield. I'm not saying Cam Akers is Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley did it all, but Cam Akers could be the pass catching that Todd Gurley was.
Man,
and
I hate the Rams logo. I always think it's the Chargers logo.
Yeah, it is terrible.
Oh man, that messed me up so bad. He's definitely going to get some work back there. So I'm excited to see him play this season. I think he's a fantasy viable running back for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, man, why did I write Todd Gurley's name down so much when I'm talking about the Chargers?
I don't know, Justin. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's almost like this isn't the Chargers. The next guy we got is I got
Dobbins.
Yeah, who we already talked about. So I'm like, oh shoot, we already covered this guy. Yeah. We talked about him quite a bit. Yeah, beforehand. He's coming out of Ohio State, running back, going to Baltimore. We mentioned it quite a bit and kind of what was going on with him. You want to cover it anymore?
I was just going to say that I really like J.K. Dobbins, who, earlier in the offseason when we were talking about the, rookie running backs coming in. He's a workhorse running back. He's one of those guys that's capable of doing all three downs. The landing spot is the problem here. Like, we were talking about earlier.
Exactly why we
know exactly why, right? Had he landed somewhere where the backfield was his or his to take, which it's not. I'm sorry, it's not his to take at the moment. It's just not probably going to happen. I would have been very excited for J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, in a dynasty, this could I love this. I love this pick for dynasty because I think he emerges as the heir to Mark Ingram from this backfield.
Yeah. Had he landed somewhere like Tampa Bay, I would.
That's what I was hoping for so bad.
Thrilled if he went somewhere like Tampa Bay, but he didn't. So we're gonna have to probably wait a little while to see how good J.K. Dobbins actually could be.
Yeah. Our next guy is a wide receiver. I really like this wide receiver as well. I was super surprised to how late this guy fell.
Yeah, he went a long way down the board.
Yeah, 207-pound wide receiver out of Baylor, 6'3", and that's Denzel Mims. Ended up on the New York Jets. Robbie Anderson left the Jets this season. They needed some pass catchers there. They needed a wide receiver or two or three.
You know who I think this is like an immediate replacement for? Is Quincy Enunwa.
Yeah.
Very similar to Quincy Enunwa. And Quincy Enunwa was good. He just always hurt.
Yeah, he's still there.
He's still there.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be relevant anymore. But man, had he stayed healthy, he'd be a very good fantasy wide receiver. And I think Denzel Mims is very similar. Large, good hands, huge playmaking ability. I like Denzel Mims even as a Jet.
For sure. Like I think that because I think there's definite opportunity for like in that wide receiver core for him to emerge as the number one wide receiver.
Yeah, by the end of the season, that could definitely happen.
Yeah, and so like you could be looking at a situation like McLaurin from Washington last year, where he isn't on a great team, but he for fantasy purposes he was amazing for you. So that's a situation you could look at for Mims here. I'm not saying that is for sure going to be the situation. I'm not drafting him as if that's the situation.
Right.
But it's a possibility, so I like him for fantasy purposes.
As do I, definitely.
All right, then the next guy we got here is this is the running back that did end up going to Tampa Bay. We got Vaughn.
It's on with Vaughn.
I'm trying to pull up my notes on him. I had to go to the next page. There we go. Yeah, so we had Rojo there. Everyone was getting hyped for Rojo this offseason.
I wasn't.
A lot of people are getting hyped for Rojo. I would have been hyped on Rojo if they didn't bring in a running back. But
I wasn't. I'm sorry. I mean, sure. I guess technically I would have to look at it like logically and been excited about it. But
like, I guess I have to look.
He's
logically.
Literally never done anything for me to be like, he's going to be good.
No. So for me, I mean, it's not that I'm looking like, oh, he suddenly got more talented. No, it's like he has no competition at this job.
That's true.
You're going to have to give him the ball.
But that's how they played all 2019 was one guy was the guy for the whole game. Yeah. And Ronald Jones most of the time was just a guy out there. And Jameis Winston was just throwing the ball 150 times a game.
Yeah, which, I mean,
listen,
that's accurate. But
Tom Brady being there, their game has to
it.
change. I understand that. But I still, look, the situation's great. Therefore, situation's great. He would be the only running back. And it's funny we're talking about this because it's not even happening anymore. But I would have to say.
But I'm excited for Keyshawn here.
I am too.
Yeah, because he's also one thing that makes it hard for these rookie running backs to get on the field is pass blocking. And that is very important when your quarterback's name is Tom Brady. So the fact that Keyshawn Vaughn is a good pass blocker is going to get him on this field, and he's going to get find himself in some more situations to get a dump off pass from Tom Brady and things like that. Yeah. So this is great. And the coach absolutely loves this guy. So I expect him to take Rojo's job. I guess.
Yes, of course he will.
No, not so much take his job. I expect Rojo to deliver his job to him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happening. That's happening.
Yeah. The I guess part wasn't that he's going to take it. It's like, does he need to take it? Like, Rojo's going to give it to him.
Yes. Yes. All right, we got one more.
Yeah, and I was wrong. I said we only had one tight end on our list. That was just in the second round. That's what I meant, guys. So in the third round, the tight end, this tight end, it's another one who I think has a possibility to be fantasy relevant in this system. Again, it's a rookie tight end, so maybe not take a huge shot on him, but that's Devin Asiasi? Asiasi?
I actually don't know
how to pronounce this. I know I cannot say it right.
I really like the first one. Icy? What do you see, Justin?
Icy. I'm just going to call him that all season now, though. Even after I learned to pronounce it.
All right. Why do you like him?
Well, because he's going into a system that likes to utilize the tight end. Tom Brady's leaving there, but the coach is still the same coach. So they're going to utilize the tight end position. Now, again, this is a rookie tight end, so, I mean, he may have quite a large drop percent, which you'll see a lot with these rookie tight ends, and he's going to struggle to learn the offense because this is not a simple offense to learn. So I do expect it to be like him to improve after year one. This may not be a great year for him, but he will. There will be weeks where he's fantasy relevant, where he'll be a tight end one.
Yeah. I agree. Just the landing spot in the system is perfect.
Yeah, and he's a talented tight end, not the best tight end in the class, but talented enough to take advantage of this system.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's plenty of other players that went here. I just don't think a lot of them were fantasy relevant further in the draft. Yeah, I mean, we'll be able to tell more as we start seeing scouting reports on these guys and start reading into just how they're doing, how they're connecting and learning the offenses they went to.
Yeah, we need the beat reporters out there at training camp. We need training camp to happen, and we'll have a lot more answers.
Yeah, and hopefully it does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that should cover all of our coverage of the draft. I'm excited to start getting more into these players as we start watching their ADPs hit and like where they're landing in drafts, so we could talk a little bit more, because like right now I could tell you I love a player until I see his ADP and I'm like, oh my god, I do not love him that much.
Yeah. So, and Justin, on Saturday, you and I, for the next episode, we'll be doing another mock draft to start seeing where these guys fit in.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting because rookies will be in there. We know what team they're on. So yeah. I'm excited to see everyone there.
It'll be good. I'm excited. All right, everybody, we love you. Subscribe. We love you. Stay safe. Subscribe. Goodbye.